Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
On this past week's episode of Raw, new United States champion Riddle took on John Morrison, the man he pinned in a triple threat match at the Elimination Chamber to win Bobby Lashley's title. The match on Raw was a lot of fun, but if you watch closer, you'll have noticed that Morrison landed hard on his knee during an innovative dive to the outside. He could be seen limping for much of the rest of the match, and continued to do so after losing, despite Riddle not working his knee at all. Dave Meltzer confirmed that Morrison had suffered an injury in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, and the man himself has since taken to Twitter to admit the move didn't go quite to plan, showing us a comparison of the move he was trying to do and the move he actually did. He added to the caption, "I saw stuff online about me botching a dive Monday. The landing didn't go as I pictured, but the dive was pretty close to exactly what I've been working on. Smiling face with sunglasses emoji. As soon as you eliminate the human idea that you need to jump off your feet to springboard, a world of possibilities opens up. I guess landing on foam and landing on hard floor are a little bit different. We don't know how long Morrison will be out for, but here's hoping he can be back in the ring soon. In just over a week, we'll be seeing Jon Moxley face AEW champion Kenny Omega in an exploding barbed wire death match, and you'll be surprised to hear that there may be a hint of blood and violence during the match. Moxley was interviewed by Inside the Ropes' Gary Cassidy, who asked Moxley what he thought of fans maybe thinking the match is going to be too violent. Moxley responded by telling fans not to watch it if they aren't into hardcore wrestling. I'd say you probably shouldn't watch the pay-per-view then, or at least turn it off before that match happens. It's the good thing about AEW, we've got a little something for everybody, but there's really no way to sugarcoat an exploding barbed wire death match, you know? So if you don't want to see it, then don't watch. If you think your kid is going to be a little bit too young to watch it, a little bit too violent for them, don't watch it. Sound advice from Moxley there, though. If the response to it is anything like it is when we tell fans not to go on YouTube after a pay-per-view to avoid spoilers for it, expect a lot of angry comments. If you're wondering who will fill the former WWE star gap while Jon Moxley is gone, it might be Zelina Vega, as AEW president Tony Khan has admitted that he is interested in talking to her now her non-compete clause is over during an appearance on Wrestling Observer Radio. When we get through this tournament and through this pay-per-view, I'd be interested to see where she's at. Vega was released by WWE in November 2020 over a dispute regarding the use of third-party platforms such as Twitch, but hasn't been seen in a wrestling capacity since. And now it's time for a review of last night's episode of SmackDown in about 5 minutes. It's that time once again, it's a SmackDown, so Roman Reigns has got to open the show. After a very long recap of what happened at Elimination Chamber and Edge choosing Roman for WrestleMania, though I'd bet good money he's not actually chosen him, isn't that right, Louis?
I am willing to bet good money this means that he's not picking Roman. Come WrestleMania, if it's Edge and Roman Reigns, and this isn't me saying I know anything, I will be shocked.
Roman cut a promo on Edge, saying it's not too late to back down from his challenge. I thought this was a weird turn to take in the feud because, unless I'm horribly mistaken, everything leading up to Edge's decision was Roman trying to goad Edge into choosing him, saying there was only one choice for him to make if he wanted to main event WrestleMania. But now he's actually chosen him, he doesn't want him to do that anymore? It was a solid promo, I just don't think it made all that much sense given the context of the feud so far. But instead of Edge, out came Daniel Bryan, who told Roman that he was in Reigns' first match in WWE way back at TLC 2012, so he knows how special he is, but he doesn't want any excuses or caveats holding him back or putting a damper on his title reign. He wants a straight-up one-on-one match for the Universal title at Fastlane, and if Reigns wins, he can truly call himself a champion going into WrestleMania. Instead, Jey Uso beats up Daniel Bryan, which I'm always here for. This set up the main event match of Uso versus Bryan, and if Bryan won, he would get the Universal title match at Fastlane. But this doesn't sit well with everyone, as Edge went backstage to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville and inquired about the fact that if Bryan won tonight, he would get a Universal title match before Edge, despite Bryan being in the very same Rumble match that Edge won. That actually makes some sort of sense. Though, in fairness, winning the Rumble doesn't mean you get the next shot, it just means you get a title shot at WrestleMania. What do you expect them to do, just not have any title matches at Elimination Chamber and Fastlane? I mean, this kinda made sense, I guess. but not really. Up next was Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus Otis and Chad Gable, and this made me feel incredibly vindicated. So you know how last week I said that it was a really bad story and they weren't actually telling one, and Otis wasn't just being led along by Gable, and he did actually know what he was doing and just turned heel for no reason? Yeah, so in this match, Otis was a full-on heel. Like, complete change in demeanor, angry facial expressions, and yes, Gable was coaching him, but Otis knew exactly what he was doing. If the story they're trying to tell is that Otis is a big dumb idiot and Gable is working him, then Otis would be the same, still trying to do the same offense, and he wouldn't be so bloody angry all the time. He's a heel now, a straight up heel, and the story still doesn't make any sense. Otis won with the second rope splash. See, there's not even a caterpillar anymore, he just doesn't do it, he's a heel now. And speaking of people who are heels now, Apollo Crews came out to the ring next with brand new attire and cut a really cool promo about how Big E told him to go back to catering, but instead he went back to his roots, with his new ring gear and entire presentation being centered around his Nigerian descent, which I really dig. I think he looks great, and the promo was really effective too. He faced Shinsuke Nakamura in a rematch from last week, but this time Apollo won clean, using the angle slam as his finisher. I'm more than okay with this. I think it looked great, and after Big E comes back after his stretcher job from last week, I think these two could put on a great match for the Intercontinental Championship. Liv Morgan versus Tamina came next in a nothing match that lasted 2 minutes, with Tamina winning clean with the softest slam ever recorded. And adding to the list of things to feel vindicated about, I said that Natalya and Tamina's best friendship came out of nowhere, to which several people told me that I was dumb because they've both been around for ages, so naturally they're going to be really good friends. On commentary, Michael Cole mentioned Tamina's newfound friendship with Natalya. So are they best friends, or have they just become friends? Which one is it, WWE? While I'm talking about dumb stuff, Cole mentioned that Natalya's catchphrase has now become reliable to undeniable, which is just what Cody said on AEW, but worse. Next, it was finally time for Bianca Belair to make her choice for who she's going to face at WrestleMania. Why this week is suddenly more important, I'm not sure, considering she's been on the verge of announcing it for weeks before Reginald or someone gets involved. But I wonder who she's going to choose. Asuka, who she's had no storyline progression with at all, or Sasha Banks, who she's been verbally sparring with, teaming with, and been featured in segments alongside her since she won the Rumble. And she's also on SmackDown. Who could it possibly be? It's Sasha, obviously. But it couldn't be that simple, because we need a little bit of Reginald first, who said the same thing he's been saying for weeks, that Sasha is great, and if Bianca chooses her for WrestleMania, she's gonna lose. Great, you really added to the segment there, Reggie. Thanks. Bianca chose Sasha, pointed at the WrestleMania sign and made some fireworks happen, but I'd bet good money that it won't be Bianca versus Sasha. Isn't that right, Louis?
I am willing to bet good money.
Backstage, King Corbin voices the opinions of many a wrestling fan when he asked Sami Zayn, why are they tagging together now? Zayn revealed that it was his idea, saying the pair could dominate and win tag gold, but Corbin doesn't like Zayn's documentary camera crew, so you'll never guess what it's time for. Yet another oddball tag team that can't get along. And sure enough, they had a match with the Street Profits, which ended with Corbin getting distracted by Zayn's documentary people, allowing Dawkins to hit a neckbreaker on Zayn, followed by a huge springboard frog splash from Ford for the win. Now the real question is, why doesn't Corbin want to be filmed? You do know you're on international TV, right, Corbin? There are cameras quite literally everywhere. Why are those cameras so much worse? Seth Rollins came out next, but before he could cut a promo, he was interrupted by Cesaro, who came out in jeans and looked super duper cool. Rollins cut an impassioned speech about him though, saying he could help him gain some killer instinct. Side by side, they could reach heights never before seen. But Cesaro just gave him possibly the best swing ever, where Rollins originally told Cesaro to drop him like he was talking to a dog, before being swung out of the jacket he was wearing. It was a great sell from Rollins, ending with an uppercut from Cesaro. I'm super excited for a pay-per-view match between them. And finally, the main event was Bryan versus Uso, and if Bryan won, he'd get a Universal title match at Fastlane. So, interestingly, after a great match, because of course it was a great match, Jay ensured it was a double countout. He worked over Bryan's knee for the whole match, and made sure he couldn't get back in the ring. And after the match, Reigns came out to emphasize the point, hitting a spear and guillotine on Bryan to stand tall. I thought this was an interesting fitting ending. Normally double countouts are super lame and a cop-out, but I don't think it was here. This made it look like Jay couldn't put away Bryan normally, so he resorted to a double countout to make sure he couldn't win. The stipulation didn't say anything about Jay winning, it was just if Bryan won, so Jay made sure he didn't win. I quite like this. So that was the show. Let me know what you thought in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. And make sure to vote in our community poll on a poll match here on YouTube, where 76% of you voted for give me more Rollins taking Cesaro's swing, and I agree. I thought this was a solid show. I like the progression of Bryan and Reigns with Edge's inclusion. I'm very excited for Cesaro and Rollins, and I really dig the new presentation of Apollo Crews. But the Zayn and Corbin stuff, the insistence of spotlighting Reginald, the Otis stuff, and the throwaway Morgan and Tamina match didn't add much to the episode. So overall, I'd give the show a high 3 out of 5, smack bang in the middle. As you may have seen a few wrestlers talking about on social media, it was recently the Observer Awards, and Simon Longden has some thoughts.
That's right, everyone. It is finally the Wrestling Observer 2020 Awards. So one of the ones that everyone has been talking about most is, of course, Tony Khan winning Booker of the Year in the sort of landslide normally reserved for Vladimir Putin. But here we are. I'm not saying that the AEW fans have somewhat skewed some of these awards, but I am saying that that's what's happened. I think these awards are kind of dumb. I think they're not supposed to be taken that seriously, but people are taking them seriously, so now I have to take them seriously. And that's annoying. I don't like being told what to do. The most disgusting promotional tactic. And what's interesting about this is that I wouldn't call most of these promotional tactics. I don't think WWE fired Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder as part of a promotional effort. Some people have pointed out some of the lost nuance with these awards. For example, yeah, AEW did also do a lot of stuff to get around COVID restrictions and absolutely benefited from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis under pressure from WWE opening up and making wrestling essential work. They also had fans before WWE did. So basically we all need to stop being surprised. The wrestling companies, even if they're run by people like Tony Khan, who seem really nice, but the motherfucker is still a billionaire, and billionaires gonna billionaire no matter how nice they are. Let's just say that if we're gonna make a list, let's stop calling it most disgusting promotional tactic, and let's just call it shitty thing wrestling company did this year. And you know who's guilty? All of them.
Chris Jericho has been barred entry to a convention by WWE. Check out the full details by pressing the video to the right, and press the video below that to watch the new episode of Blood on the Clock Tower on No Rolls Barred, featuring the extended list of guests. Don't forget to subscribe here for daily wrestling news videos. I've been Corporate Chopper. Jam that jam.